Hello, and welcome to Making Lasting Change Through Mental Fitness. Thank you so much for checking this out. I'm Ann Lyons, and I'm a certified positive intelligence coach, which is pretty much my third career. Prior to becoming a coach, I was a television producer for 17 years, and I've run my own professional organizing business since 2012. I have two college-age kids. I love yoga, fresh flowers, my besties from high school, and this cute little dog here named Eliza. So, what's this all about? Why am I doing this? I started training as a coach in 2020, and the coaching journey has been absolutely transformative for me personally. And I'm eager to offer the same kind of transformation to others. What I have learned as a coach, and specifically as a positive intelligence coach, has had a profound impact on me, my family, my relationships, honestly, on my perspective on the world and my entire life. I've learned how to access more empathy, more compassion, and more practical skills to just engage with people. Many of us are living with tremendous anxiety and discomfort for a lot of reasons. I believe that what I have learned has the ability to help each person impact the world one person at a time, and it's become a little bit of a calling for me to bring this to others. So now you know why I'm here. Let's ponder, why are you here? You've made time to listen to this recording, and maybe it's for one of these reasons. Perhaps you've been struggling with some big stuff or going through some major life transitions, like facing an empty nest or a job shift. Perhaps you're feeling squeezed as part of the sandwich generation, maybe part of your life caught between your growing kids and your aging parents. Maybe you're just trying to figure out your next chapter. Maybe you're looking for ways to handle a chaotic world with less stress and more peace. Maybe you're simply always down for self-improvement. Whatever your reasons for listening, I promise what I'm talking about here today will serve you. The outcome of what I'm sharing and what I think everyone might be interested in is a life of ease and flow in your wellness, physical and mental, in your performance, doing what you want or need to be doing the way you want to be doing it, in your relationships, improving communication and deepening connections. I suspect that one of these things might be true for you, that you've been on or thought about a yoga or silent retreat. Maybe you've recently read Atomic Habits or the Bullet Journal Method or listened to a podcast with Brene Brown, Mel Robbins, or Oprah or whoever. Maybe you've downloaded a meditation app or bought a pretty journal to start a gratitude practice. Well, so have I. All of the above. I imagine you took and learned a lot and got totally inspired by what you learned. The power of mindfulness, gratitude, of being present, of being kind to yourself, of setting boundaries, of how to set better priorities and goals. We all know about all of these things. We all know they're good for us. We've probably experienced how good they are for us. Just like we also know that strength training and eating a Mediterranean diet are the key to a long and healthy life. But we don't always do those things, do we? Have you been able to stick to your meditation app, gratitude journal, or morning ritual? If you have, great. I salute you. If you haven't, you are certainly not alone. So the title of this presentation again is Make Lasting Change Through Mental Fitness. It's easy to be skeptical about generating lasting positive change because we've all failed in the past. The reason is that all of our habits live in the brain in the form of neural pathways or mental muscles that reinforce those habits. You can't counter the mental muscles of whole old habits with insight. You need to counter muscle with more muscle. You're not going to eliminate or change habits just by knowing they're there. And that's where the mental fitness part comes in. So what's mental fitness? It's really simple. Mental fitness is your capacity to respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than negative mindset. Respond to life's challenges with a positive rather than negative mindset. Strong mental fitness can have a tremendous impact in these essential areas. Boost performance. Use your mental energy more effectively. Improve your ability to communicate and work with others. Well-being, increased happiness, more self-confidence, managing stress better, taking better care of yourself. Strengthening your relationships with more empathy, improving conflict management, improving communication. Pretty much covers everything in life, doesn't it? So I'm not making all of this up by myself. I am a certified positive intelligence coach, and I teach a 2-month workshop on these principles, which are based on original research by author, lecturer, and executive coach Shirzad Chamine. The concepts I'm sharing here about mental fitness are a synthesis of recent discoveries across neuroscience, performance science, and positive and behavioral cognitive behavioral psychology. This research that has been done with over 1 million participants from over 50 countries, including CEOs, parents, students, elite athletes, and sales, operations, and technology teams, and people like you. There have been MRIs involved in this work. These concepts were brought together in the New York Times bestselling book, Positive Intelligence, which has been translated into at least 20 languages. So, okay, there's a little bit of credibility for you. And if you look down in the comments, you can find more detail on that neuroscience if you want to take a deep dive into it. But here's the gist of it. You've got two sides to your brain. One of them you know well. It's your fight or flight survivor brain, developed back when we had to keep an eye out for attacking tigers. It motivates you through negative emotions like fear, stress, anger, guilt, shame, insecurity, disappointment, regret. And it might generate success, has generated success, but not as much happiness. Now, the other side of your brain is your sage or thriving brain. It's your middle prefrontal cortex. It's where your empathy circuitry lives, parts of your right brain, and it motivates you through empathy, curiosity, intuition, creativity, passion, purpose. And it generates your highest success and sustained happiness. Now, we're going to start with the tiger slide. So through factor analysis, the scientific research identifies 10 basic negative emotional responses that influence our behavior. These are the emotions and patterns that can cause you to self-sabotage. So in this context, we call them your saboteurs. And we sort of anthropomorphize them here because it helps us see them and address them directly. So I give you your saboteurs. The judge is the big kahuna, the evil genius inside us that leads us to judge ourselves, judge others, and circumstances harshly. The judge is the ringleader of your other saboteurs. The rest of the saboteurs are his accomplices and the source of your negative emotions and self-sabotaging behaviors like anxiety, disappointment, insecurity, resentment, and most of all, fear. Now, as you see these names, you might be asking, well, what's wrong with vigilance? What's wrong with being rational or high achieving or a stickler for detail? So I'm going to ask you, is pain good for you? Of course, pain has its place in our lives. If you put your hand on a hot stove, pain tells you to stop it. And we can look at negative emotions in the same way. So, for example, say you're stressing over a project that you've got to do tomorrow. That stress gets you to plan, organize, get to work, pay attention to detail. But if you stress all day or all month, you use up your emotional and mental energy, making it harder to focus, exhausting yourself, not helpful either to your own wellness or your performance on whatever the project is. Here's another example. Say in an important relationship in your life, something makes you angry. That's helpful. That anger is a signal to you that something important is being violated or some boundary in that relationship is being crossed. But if you stay angry, the end result is conflict, defensiveness. A difficult dynamic gets created and communication gets inhibited. The relationship is ultimately damaged along with your mental well-being. I want you to take a moment here and just have a look at how these various accomplished saboteurs impact your life. Take a second to absorb some of this. Now, if you've done a saboteur assessment, take a look at your top one on this slide. And if you haven't, just guess which one of these might be one of your top saboteurs. And consider how they're sabotaging you, your performance, your relationships, your health and well-being. Feel free to take a screenshot of this so you can take a deeper dive. And if you haven't done a saboteur assessment, there's a link in the comments where you can do it for yourself and find out who your top saboteurs are. But I bet you might have a good idea just looking at these names. My top three are controller, stickler, and avoider, conveniently on the left side of the screen here. But let's give this side of our brain its props because it has been the key to our survival as a species for millennia. But sabotage happens when these responses are taken to the extreme. Far too often what happens in our modern lives. Because for the most part, there are no tigers coming. But for now, enough of the evil villains in our brain. Let's talk about that other side, the sage. The other side of your brain is your sage. If you can recognize when the saboteurs are running the show and call upon your sage, not only can you achieve a better outcome in any situation, you can do it with more calm, joy, creativity, and focus. The sage lives in the region of our brain associated with positive emotions, with peace and calm, with instinct, with clear-headed focus, with creativity, with big picture thinking. The sage lives with ease. Now, we've all experienced our sage. It's often working quietly in the background, telling you maybe something about this situation isn't quite right, or planting the seeds of ideas for life improvement, changes you maybe need to make sometime soon. The sage is there in the back of your head, quietly telling you sometimes, don't worry, everything's going to be all right. The sage is the part of your brain that feels awe when noticing the beauty around you. Furthermore, the sage believes that every outcome or circumstance can be turned into a gift or opportunity, that you can make lemonade out of lemons, that you can find a positive path forward if you're open to it, because this perspective is really a self-fulfilling prophecy. I like to think sage life is the good stuff. Falling in love is a sage experience. Holding your new baby is a sage experience. Marveling at the sunrise, staring at the ocean, helping a stranger on the street, petting your dog. Sage life is the good stuff. Some of our most comforting phrases, which you see here, to me, are expressions of our sage mind. I suspect you were looking for your sage when you bought the books and downloaded the apps. So which one of these parts of your brain do you want managing your life? Okay, so some of you, I'm sure, are starting to say, this is so true. Tell me more, Anne. I love it. And a couple of you are going, this is getting kind of woo-woo. If you're in the first camp, your sage is activated. If you're in camp woo-woo, there may be some saboteur voices in your head. The judge for sure, and perhaps the hyper-rational, or you're restless, or any number of them. That is absolutely normal and totally to be expected. You have been building your saboteur muscles since childhood, and I don't expect them to shift in just a few minutes of listening to me. If it's feeling woo-woo to you, I ask you to stick with me here and simply stay open and curious to the rest. Did I mention the million people who've done this work, including elite college coaches, educators, and teams from all these big-time corporations? Did that little dose of credibility quiet your judge? Are you feeling maybe a little more curious now? Welcome to the sage side. I digress. The goal here is to be able to live in sage mode more than saboteur mode. That's mental fitness. So in mental fitness, just like physical fitness, we need to build our muscles. So what are the muscle groups we need to work on? There are three muscles we work on to build mental fitness. Now, we talked about the saboteurs, and that's the first muscle you need to build, is your saboteur interceptor muscle. You need to learn to recognize your saboteurs by getting to know them and the impact they have on you. Once you start to recognize them, you'll see them everywhere. The saboteurs become an enemy you can see rather than one hiding in the shadows, giving you the opportunity to say, hey, hypervigilance, I see you. I'm not interested in the unnecessary anxiety you're offering me today. Go back to the basement and sit down until you're really needed. So that's the first muscle you have to build, your saboteur interceptor. To continue with our physical fitness analogy, if you lift with your back, you're going to have pain. The saboteur brain is back lifting. The sage brain lifts with the legs, and that's the next muscle we need to build. The saboteurs work in a fear response cycle. The sage, on the other hand, uses powerful tools of empathy, curiosity, intuition, innovation, and clear, focused action. The sage recognizes that you can't control the wind and the waves, but you can learn to surf. And surfing is a lot more fun. So how do you get from here, from saboteur to sage? You use your self-command muscle. What do I mean by that? Let's be honest. You are not in control of your brain. If you were in control of your mind, would you tell it to wake you up at 3 a.m. with existential dread, or to remind you about the taxes or the errands you need to run? You would not. Scientists say we have somewhere between 10,000 and 70,000 thoughts every day, which means our brain is largely on autopilot. Building your self-command muscle is putting your hands on the wheel when it really matters. This is where the lasting change begins. This is where the difference between awareness, things we can gain from books, podcasts, workshops, and self-help, cross over to lasting change. So, how do we do that? We microdose meditation. We microdose meditation, just in case you thought this has started to go off the rails. If you're a meditator, then you know meditation is a very powerful tool for sage brain activation. The neuroscience on this is clear. Meditation literally rewires your brain, building new neural pathways to the sage brain that we're talking about here. The more you can do that, the more time you can spend life in sage mode. But many people have difficulty meditating or with being consistent with it. You wouldn't build much muscle lifting one 50-pound weight every 4 days, but lifting a little weight every day with a gradual increase in weight would. To build your biceps, you do reps with weights. To build your self-command muscle, we do what we call a PQ rep. PQ is an abbreviation of the Positive Intelligence Program. It's your Positive Intelligence Quotient. But unlike meditation, you can do it anytime, anywhere, with your eyes closed, with your eyes open, while sitting, laying down, or in motion. So we're going to do a little workout here together to demonstrate. Now, I'm going to demonstrate how we can activate our self-command muscle, and I ask you to do this with me as you're watching this video. And while you may be tempted to fast forward right now, I encourage you to try this exercise. It is the secret sauce here of mental fitness, and I promise it'll be brief and painless. Now, if you're in a car or multitasking, come back, or at least take a pause. As I say, it won't take long. So if you will, take 2 deep breaths with me. Inhale for a count of 4, and then exhale for a count of 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now do that again. Inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. And exhale for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more time. 4, 3, 2, 1, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, I want you to rub 2 fingers together. Pay exquisite attention to the texture of those 2 fingers. Notice the ridges, the temperature, the calluses, whatever you notice. Now I want you to rub both of your palms together. Just notice how powerful the sensation of your fingertips is. Notice the ridges of your palm. Now wiggle your toes. See if you can move each toe individually. Now I want you to just notice the weight of your body in your chair. Actually feel gravity's hold on you. Now, if your eyes are closed, please open them and take a look at the picture on the screen. Really take a look at the picture on this screen. I want you to pick a color, say green, one shade of green, and just really study that color in the picture. Notice the variations of it as the light hits it differently. Now find another shade of green and study that one. Take a look at the different shapes in the picture. Observe the reflection in the water. Notice the rocks in the foreground. Now, if you're comfortable, close your eyes. You don't have to, but it's helpful for this one. With your eyes closed, listen. What is the farthest away sound you can hear? Now, what's a medium sound you can hear? Perhaps you were outside your house and now you're inside your space. Notice the sounds in the space you're in. Now, what is the closest sound you can hear? Maybe it's your own breathing. Maybe your heartbeat. Maybe it's me. Now open your eyes and just observe how you're feeling. Guess what? You just seized control of your mind. Hey, that was mindfulness. Hey, that was kind of meditation like. Hey, each of those things took like 20 seconds to do. You just did some brain squats. Note which ones were the most satisfying to you. We did a visual, we did tactile, we did audio and breathing. Everybody has their favorites. And if your mind wandered, congratulations, you are a human. Over time, these exercises in as small as 10-second increments can rewire your brain in the same way that meditation does. Meditation has an incredible impact on the brain, body, and spirit, and you should absolutely, positively try to get some meditation into your life. But as I mentioned, some people can do this and some struggle. Plus, you can't sit down and meditate when your boss has gone off the deep end, or the 10,000th time you walk in the kitchen and see it trashed mere minutes after you cleaned it, or when your mom comments on how you're still not married for the 1,000th time, or when your partner does that thing that really, really annoys you. But you can do a PQ rep anytime, anywhere. You can rub your fingers together. You can pay attention to a person's face with exquisite intensity. You can wiggle your toes. I've given you examples of many different kinds here. They're all about focusing on your physical senses and becoming present in your body. Your body can only be present. It's your mind that wanders. So when you focus those senses on the body, you access the sage. So let me tie all of this stuff together for you now. A simple summary of these concepts and how one can apply it to daily life. If you're feeling negative emotions like stress, doubt, fear, anger, and resentment, stop. You are in saboteur survival mode. Whenever you feel negative emotions like these, you are in survival mode. Do some PQ reps to help quiet those saboteurs and activate your sage. Engage with your senses for at least 10 seconds, and the longer you do, the greater the impact. Assume the sage perspective that every circumstance can be converted into a gift or an opportunity that you can find a positive path forward. Then generate that gift by activating the sage powers of empathy, curiosity, creativity, calm, and clear-headed action. Following this process will help you respond to life's challenges with that positive mindset, and that's mental fitness, which is an operating system for lasting change. By recognizing when your self-sabotaging emotions appear, interrupting their influence on you, and engaging your sage brain, you will improve your resilience, your performance, your relationships, and your overall well-being, with the result of having a more peaceful, engaged life. You will do more surfing than trying to control the wind and the waves. Now, you have just acquired some insight about how your brain works and where the self-sabotage comes in. Now, I mentioned earlier that just like that yoga retreat or the Brene Brown book, insight and awareness are great, but not enough to create lasting change. Lasting change requires muscle building, and muscle building requires habit formation. And if you are interested in learning not only how to build those muscles, but also how to access all those sage skills of intuition, creativity, and empathy, I can help. I run an 8-week group mental fitness program that helps you develop the habits needed for a lifelong practice of living in sage. In it, you learn to recognize and counteract your saboteurs, develop that self-command muscle, and engage all the powers of your sage to create that life of ease and flow. Habit formation takes time, and that's why it is an 8-week group program. If you're interested in learning more about upcoming programs or to schedule a no obligation call with me, you can visit my website or use the QR code here to get in touch. These links are also accessible below, as well as an opportunity to take the saboteur assessment and find out how your survivor brain is messing with you, as well as a white paper about the neuroscience of these concepts. But if you don't do any of that, I hope you have learned something about yourself, about your brain and how it works, and how you can access your sage at any given time. Thanks for listening, and I wish you a very sage day.